Welcome back to the Hockey Hotbed, presented as always by the Hockey Podcast Network. Obviously, we talked in segment 1, the COVID-19 pandemic is starting to ravage its way through the National Hockey League and all of professional sports across North America and across the entire world. So, with that in mind, and with everything that has come out in the past 2 weeks from the Board of Governors meeting, from certain players across the league, I have a tough pill. A tough pill for me to swallow. I didn't want to have to say this. I didn't want to have this opinion, but I do. A tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, especially the ones that were the most excited about seeing NHL players return to the Olympics in Beijing in 2022. They shouldn't go. That's the pill right there. This should be canceled, like right now. The sooner the better. They should not be going to the Olympics in 2022. The way that this is all shaping out right now, the landscape of the National Hockey League, the landscape of the world, the NHL players should not be going to the Olympics. Realistically, the Olympics probably shouldn't be happening. They really shouldn't, most likely, but at the same time, when it comes specifically to the National Hockey League, they should not be sending their professional athletes over there to perform in the Olympics. And that sucks because I was extremely excited. You know, when it came out that the players were going to fight to go to the Olympics, I was excited because everybody remembers 2010 and the Golden Goal and all those games. Everybody remembers 2014 and how fun it is to watch these guys play for their country, how fun it is for these guys to play for their country, and how much it means to them as well. And we really wanted to see that again, especially with the new superstars in the league, the Austin Matthews, the Connor McDavids, seeing those guys play alongside, you know, the more historic guys in the 2010 and 2014 teams like Austin Matthews and Patrick Kane, or more specifically, Connor McDavid and Nathan McKinnon and Sidney Crosby and those guys. Everybody wanted to see that happen. And honestly, for the longest time, everybody held out hope, and so did I, that, you know, they can make it work. They've been able to handle the COVID-19 pandemic this far into the season. There have been minor outbreaks, but at this point now with this week, and we talked about it in segment number 1, the amount of players and teams and games that have been canceled, players that have tested positive, teams that have had many, many players test positive and kind of larger outbreaks, the NHL players should not be going to the Olympics in February. The NHL has a decision to make by January 10th, whether or not they will actually want to pull out as a league. Some players have already said they're not going. And the league, after the Board of Governors meeting a couple weeks back or a week back, whatever it is at this point, basically came out and stated that, you know, we're not against it. And they are against it. They are. But they were like, we're not going to shut it down. It's basically going to be the players' decision. So right now, the decision is in the hands of the NHL Players Association, basically. But also, from the Board of Governors meeting, they came out and said, well, Beijing has stated that there's going to be a 3 to 5 week quarantine if you test positive at the Olympics. 3 to 5 weeks quarantined in a hotel room in China. So, obviously, if that happens, players would miss significant amounts of the NHL regular season. So, already you're hurting your team in a very important stretch of the season because after February, it's going to be what I like to call moving month, which is the end of February to the middle of March. That is when the biggest movement between teams that are going to be in the bubble versus teams that are going to be falling out of contention and teams that are going to be fighting for home ice, teams that are going to be fighting for division championships. That's the major time. Everything up to that point is basically putting yourself in the position to take advantage then. That is the major time. And if you test positive at the Olympics, you're going to be missing a large portion of that important stretch of the NHL season. So that's already huge. Second of all, the NHL right now is already currently dealing with COVID issues in the States and in Canada. So sending them the whole way over to China on a different continent, there's no way that players are going to avoid it. Even if it is a bubble atmosphere, even if it is an atmosphere where the players are not doing anything but playing and going back to their hotel room, there's going to be players that catch it. And they're going to have to eat this 3 to 5 week quarantine. And lastly, I mean, for the players, they're going to be forfeiting their pay. The NHL has already stated that if you miss games due to the COVID-19 pandemic, if you're unvaccinated, you're going to forfeit pay. So basically, Tyler Bertuzzi, the only player in the NHL that is unvaccinated, is forfeiting pay. So I don't know if they're going to want to pay guys that go over to China and get quarantined there because of that. They might have to forfeit their paycheck for whatever games and whatever action they miss. So with all that in mind, I don't think NHL players should be going to China. As much as I'd like to see them, literally, I really want to see these teams be made. I want to see what this Team Canada would look like on the ice. I want to see what Team USA, which would be very good, would look like. I mean, you look at Team Sweden, they're going to be very, very good. Team Finland, all of these teams with these younger superstars that we have never really seen at the Olympic level, most of them not even at the national level other than in world championships. We want to see this. We want to see them at the Olympics. And we obviously all know that those players would like to go as well. With that in mind, I'm not just saying we should not go to the Olympics. And by we, I keep saying we. I'm not just saying that the NHL should not go to the Olympics. The NHL should also be canceling their All-Star weekend in Las Vegas. Now, this is less likely to actually happen because the NHL is making money off of the All-Star weekend in Las Vegas. And we don't know where the COVID pandemic and Omnicron are going to be at in 2 months' time, which is basically when that happens. But when you're at the point right now, and it might get better, it might turn around by Christmas, we don't know. But when you're at the point now that you're canceling games, you are not allowing fans in Montreal, you're 50% capacity in Toronto and Ottawa, it's starting to affect the bottom line, which might make the NHL more likely to keep the All-Star weekend on. But if you're looking at a purely, caring about the players and caring about health and not spreading COVID-19, the NHL should not have an All-Star weekend because there's going to be representatives from all 32 teams that go there. If there's an outbreak at All-Star weekend and nobody tests positive until they get back to their teams, there's a chance you might have an outbreak across the entire National Hockey League all at once because of the All-Star weekend. So I might be the bearer of bad news. I might be, the Grim Reaper right now saying not cancel the Olympics, but the NHL shouldn't go to the Olympics. The NHL shouldn't have an All-Star weekend. I know this is all fun stuff that we're all excited to watch, but the current landscape does not look good in having this. Now, I do have a solution that doesn't fix all the problems, that is not unique to me. Several people have already stated this. The NHL, especially if they pull out of the Olympics in 2022, schedule another World Cup. Schedule a World Cup of hockey for August, like they did back in 2016. That gives everybody what they want in terms of rosters. You get to see Team Canada with Connor McDavid, Nathan MacKinnon, Sidney Crosby, Patrice Bergeron. You get to see Team USA with Austin Matthews and all of these young players, Jack Hughes, Trevor Zegras, possibly. And you get to see international play. The players get to play for their country, albeit not at the Olympics, which is the big majority of the reason why they'd like to go. They want to represent their country at the Olympics. That's a goal. But they still get to represent their country in a tournament. Fans get to see these rosters go head-to-head. And the NHL gets money. It makes up for not having an All-Star weekend if they cancel it. The NHL helps their bottom line once again. So the league should be happy. The players, it's not the same, but it's something that you're giving the players, showing them that, yes, we do care that you didn't get to go to the Olympics. By that point, August, hopefully, again, this is all hopeful because we didn't know that the COVID-19 pandemic would still be this bad at this point. But hopefully the pandemic is in better terms, at least. And you can resurrect Team North America. Obviously, that was a huge hit in 2016. The jerseys, the roster, the 3-on-3 overtime that Nathan MacKinnon beat Team Sweden. All of that was really well done by the National Hockey League, and it was a lot of fun to watch. So it gives you a chance to resurrect that, which obviously, if you don't remember, that was the best players from all of North America from the age of 23 and under. Now that team featured Connor McDavid, Nathan McKinnon, Jack Eichel. I mean, those guys, that roster was ridiculous. I mean, Matt Murray at that time was on that roster, but he was also Stanley Cup champion. Matt Murray, like we said, in August of 2016, he was in between championships. But now you look at that team. What would that team look like in 2022? Players like Cole Caulfield, players like Alexis Lafreniere, a goaltender like Spencer Knight, Trevor Zegras, Brady Tkachuk would still be eligible. He'd probably be the captain of that team. You get both Quinn and Jack Hughes playing on that team. You can make a very, very fun Team North America for the August of 2022 World Cup of Hockey. So that is my solution. I think that's a great solution because I think that would be extremely fun to watch. Obviously, everybody has to eat a little crow in that. The NHL players don't get to go to the Olympics and represent their country. The National Hockey League has to cancel the All-Star weekend. But I think this is a solution that, honestly, fans would like, players would probably have fun with, and the league would also benefit from there. So I think cancel, or at least don't go to the Olympics if you're in the NHL. Cancel the All-Star weekend. Go through this season. Try to make sure everybody in this current landscape is safe, is healthy. And then next year, in 2022, August, have another World Cup of hockey. I think that would be a lot of fun. I thought it was a hit the first time they did it. I thought they did a great job. Well, not the first time. They've done it several times, but first time bringing it back in 2016, I thought it was amazing. So definitely, I think that would be a great idea. 6 years later, bring it back. I like that idea. Secondly, when it comes to international hockey, if you have an itch for international hockey and the Olympics is what you were looking forward to, the World Juniors is going to be enough for me, and that starts in 9 days. 9 days, we get the World Junior Championship. The World Junior Tournament, I should say. I don't know which one it's called. I think it's called both. But with World Juniors coming up, that's going to be an exciting tournament. Always is, every year, and I think it's underrated still among hockey fans. It's the best young players across the entire world in a really fun style tournament. So USA, obviously coming in as the defending champions. Yeah, take that, friends from the North, especially the ones on the Hockey Podcast Network. USA is trying to repeat as champion for the first time in the history of World Juniors. So that obviously, Canada can throw back in our face that we've never done that. We're also very sorely behind them in gold medals, but we are the defending champs in USA, and they're looking to go repeat for the first time ever. And realistically, they have a good roster. I like it. Returning a couple important pieces from last year. Obviously going to have to take a step up because last year you had obviously the likes of Spencer Knight in net. You had Trevor Zegras on that team, Alex Turcotte, Arthur Kaliev. Those guys won't be going. They're all playing in the National Hockey League. Cole Caulfield also was on that team last year. But you have a lot of good players on that team. You look, Matty Beniers was a big part of that team last year. He's probably going to be the leader for Team USA this year. You have Jake Sanderson on the back end. Brett Berard is also going to be returning. But you're also adding guys like Luke Hughes is going to be playing in this tournament. It's going to be a lot of fun to see what Luke Hughes can do for Team USA. I understand you lost a lot of guys. But Team USA, I don't know if they're the favorite. I wouldn't say they're the favorite. I would again put that with Canada. But Team USA has a good chance. If they can put it together, they have a lot of young talent there, a lot of very interesting talent there. I think they have a chance that they could repeat this year. I would still, like I said, that my favorite is still going to be Canada. They look like a powerhouse. They're looking for gold medal number 19. So obviously they have the most gold medals of any country in World Juniors. So they're looking for number 19. Their team is stacked. But their team is always stacked. Their team was more stacked, I feel like, last year, and Team USA was able to beat them. So Canada, Cole Perfetti, Jake Neighbors, Kent Johnson, Shane Wright, Connor Bedard, Mason McTavish, Owen Power. If these names sound familiar, it's because they're basically all from the top 5 of any NHL of the last couple NHL drafts, or they're projected to be in the top 5 of the next NHL draft. These guys are all ridiculous. Obviously Kent Johnson was a top 5 pick, playing for Michigan right now. Owen Power, first overall selection in the last draft. Shane Wright, who's going to be and is expected to be the first overall pick in the next draft. So, yeah, Team Canada, if I had to place money down, I'm going with Team Canada. But my heart still says Team USA. And I'm going to be rooting for Team USA, obviously, because I'm not a traitor. The tournament all begins on Boxing Day, December 26th. So get excited because we are less than 10 days away from the start of the World Junior Championship. So if you have an itch for international hockey, there it is right there. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, we will be doing the Hockey Hotbed 3 stars of the week. I'll be right back.